Brad, we are back here with Thompson and Clark, and as has been sort of our routine when the Niners and the Rams play, we'll spend a couple of minutes talking about Niners Rams. Those are our teams. You gave me your prediction for my mini episode of We Want Winners that I did last week. If I were you, and tell me how you feel about this, I would have been fairly happy with yesterday's game, albeit you always want to win.
Oh, yeah.
But I feel like your team played much better than the national media was giving them any sort of credit for.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, they were, 7.5-point dogs? I think they opened at 9-point dogs. So after yesterday and after the Rams beating Seattle the first week of the season, I'm actually really confident going into Cincinnati with the banged up Joe Burrow next week on Monday Night Football. I mean, I'm starting to look at this team as like, I wonder if it can sneak into like a playoff spot, just kind of be a fringe team, get all of these young guys a lot of reps, a lot of experience, and then go fight for a playoff spot later in the season. All the while I was thinking it's probably a 6-win team, maybe a 5-win team. And then later on down the line, next year, I think they have $70 million off the books of dead money. And then they'll actually have a first round pick. So I thought, okay, they'll be in kind of good shape, maybe at like a top 10 pick. But no, I obviously I'd much rather see this team fight for a playoff spot and get into the playoffs. So yeah, at halftime yesterday, that was the only frustrating thing is we couldn't make a couple of key stops. That minute and a half that they gave the Niners offense at the end of the first half when they went up 17-10 and the Rams were getting the ball in the second half. So you have a chance there to go up, possibly 24-10 after the first drive of the second half. And then Stafford throws that pick, but it's a tip off of Kyron Williams' shoulder.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so many close plays, but that's football. I mean, and to play against your rival who's, a Super Bowl favorite and to come out firing and just kind of, go toe to toe and blow to blow for the first like 3 quarters or so, 3.5 quarters. It was fun. It was an enjoyable game, even though we lost. And as a Rams fan, I don't say that very often. Like, like that was an enjoyable. I mean, the Jeff Fisher era, if we were to lose a game, it was usually like we lost 12-9. And then you're sitting there going, I mean, we lost by 3, but that was not enjoyable. I didn't enjoy that game at all. So yeah, heck of a turnaround.
Yeah, no, I was very impressed. And the one thing the caveat that I took away, or the thing that I took away was that McVay and Shanahan, they just want to beat each other like nobody's business. Like absolutely. McVay's game plan was absolutely fantastic. And who knew you had a second Cooper Kupp there just hanging out? It's like, where did this guy come from?
I think they're the same guy. I think he just put on a wig and his hamstring is really okay, and he just wanted to disguise. But yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing. Can you imagine too when Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell? I mean, not only like 3, that could be like an awesome receiving core, but could that be like the all-name receiving core?
Yeah.
I mean, you got Cooper, you got Puka, and you got Tutu. Those are like, noises babies make. So that's just fantastic.
All right, we're not going to talk Niners Rams any longer. But we had to open with it because those are our teams, and it's kind of fun that we do the Giants podcast where we both follow the same team, and then in football we follow rivals. So it's kind of a fun little rivalry.
And we're chatting during the Rams Niner games just as much as we do sometimes during the Giants games. So it's, it's fun because, and honestly, you're one of the few Niner fans I can actually talk to because the other ones are just like, your team is trash. You guys lost again. But I mean, you and I, we understand football. So it's fun. I don't understand it as much as you do, but it's fun to just talk during the game because I know you see the good in our team, I see the good in your team, and it's just it's a fun game to watch. But I'm getting too old for like your team sucks.
Yeah, the funny thing about this, and this is related to baseball too. which is as you get older, or I'll say for me, because I know there are still some people who follow sports like crazy people. But as I get older, I kind of want to see my friends happy if I'm not happy when it comes
Yeah,
to sports, because I know how heartbreaking sports can be. And then with the
absolutely.
Giants, we get a couple of get 3 World Series. So we're like, okay, like, the heartbreak still exists, but we got some W's there. But the two teams that I still wish like the worst on are the Dodgers, obviously. And we're going to talk
Oh,
about the
yeah.
Dodgers here in a second. The other team, okay, two other teams.
I can guess who the other. I can guess who one of the other teams is for sure.
Okay, who do you think it is?
I think it's America's team.
Yes, the Dallas
Yeah,
Cowboys. I
yes.
couldn't. My best friend is a Dallas Cowboys fan, and I still wish that every player on his team gets gout or something like that. Like that's what I wish on that team. And then, but the other one is the Lakers, and it's the Lakers because just every passerby who's got some sort of name, they want to go play for the Lakers. So when you actually beat the Lakers, then it feels so much better because that the Lakers just, they get all the free agents and stuff. So
that totally makes sense.
yeah,
I get
but
that.
those are the three teams. Everybody else, like, I think people would think that I should hate the Seahawks because the Seahawks, over the last 10 years are actually a pretty good football team. But I have friends who are Seahawks fans, and if the Niners don't make it, it's fine if the Seahawks make it. But nope.
But you can hate Pete Carroll though. You can hate Pete Carroll and not hate the Seahawks.
Pete Carroll was an assistant on the 49ers.
Yeah, that's
before
true.
He went to the Pats, I think. It was either before or right after.
Tie.
So there's a little bit of a connection there. But yeah, the gum chewing and the old man
and the rah-rah and the
that's the when they're kicking our butts, then it gets a little frustrating. So. All right, so I mean, we kind of took the first 7 minutes because this last week of Giants baseball, it didn't start out too bad. The Cleveland Guardians came into town, and the Giants took 2 out of 3. They won both games. Both of the games that they won were extra inning games, and we had joked on this last week that the Giants should just go to extra innings every game because they have such a good record when they go into extras. And then we thought, okay, that they win 2 out of 3. They take care of business at home, go on the road. We were also joking that we wish that they just played Colorado for the rest of the games of the season. And Colorado must have felt some sort of way about us saying that because they beat the Giants 3 out of 4. One of those games was rained out, so it had to be a doubleheader on Saturday, which I don't know who actually has the advantage there. I mean, the Giants are the better team. They're the team that's actually playing for something. Colorado's not playing for anything. But they have that ballpark, which has been kind of a hellhole at times for the Giants. So I don't know. I don't know where the advantage was or not. I just wish that the Giants could actually hit the baseball, a little bit better and not save all of their runs for Sunday, because that's kind of what they did. They just, for whatever, like there was a no-hitter going in one of these games at Coors Field where everybody does well. And so I just didn't understand it. It was really frustrating, but the way that we cover this team and the way that we watch this team, it is absolutely predictable that the bats could just go silent at any opportunity. And then the other thing is that the thing that, we kind of relied on a little bit here was the bullpen, and the bullpen has been a little shaky of late too, which I think some of it is, and we kind of said this throughout the years, when you rely on the bullpen for so many innings, when we get to later in the season, they're going to be a little tired out. So all of these things that we've been talking about, that kind of played into this, our worst fears in the series in Colorado, but it doesn't make it any less frustrating. And I was almost sure that they were going to lose yesterday. I was just like, you know what? They should just lose. Then we will have zero hope. That's the way the season is supposed to end. And then they won it by the skin of their teeth at the end there, when they had a comfortable lead, and then they only won by 1 run. So it is what it is. We have 12 games left. 7 of them against the Dodgers. We have to make up a couple games here. I think they will probably be in it next week when we do this podcast, but barely is going to be my guess. And because this week is their most important week of the entire season of baseball.
Yeah, it's a huge week because you've got Arizona for 2, a rare Arizona middle of the week day game too. That doesn't happen for us very often, but they're giving us a travel day to get from Arizona to Los Angeles. Not a travel day, but getting us out of Arizona by like 6 or 7 p.m. And then we don't play the Dodgers again for 24 hours in LA. So that's kind of a nice little break that the Giants are going to have. You're going to get a chance to get into LA and get settled. Looking at where the Dodgers are, they've got a 7-game lead over Milwaukee for the 2 seed. They are 5 games back of Atlanta for the 1 seed. So it's kind of like, I mean, that's probably set in stone.
Yes,
with the 1 and 2 seed. Yeah, with a 5-game lead with 14 games left. So there's a chance the Dodgers are going to be, not throwing their aces, not doing their full, best lineup that they've got. They're going to be resting some players. And the Giants are still fighting. So, but again, 2 weeks out from the playoffs, you don't want to just go ahead and start sitting players and let them get cold. You've got to go into the playoffs, because the other thing too is, with the 1 or 2 seed, you have the first round off. So you've got to wait pretty much from the last game of the season until I think it's like Friday or Saturday. So almost 5, 6, even 7 days before you play again. So you probably want your guys to play all the way up until then, because they're going to have an entire week off to rest. But with a 7-game lead over Milwaukee, you can afford to just kind of spot players here and there. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Those 2 games against Arizona are huge because the Giants need to win one of those 2 to hold the tiebreaker over Arizona. So that's going to be an interesting series, and that starts tomorrow. Man, this team, I kind of, it's just having that feeling of like reverse of last year, but could easily end up with the same record. I mean, you're on fire first part of the season and then just kind of tail off and start playing really rough, ugly baseball. And last year was the opposite. They were just kind of bouncing around trying to figure out who they were, and all of a sudden go on a tear at the end and finish 500 and actually come close to threatening for a wild card spot near the end. But yeah, it's like the Oppo Giants this year. If they end up 81 and 81, I wouldn't even know what to do. 2 years back to back, 81 and 81.
So we had talked about all season long how well that the Giants played against above 500 competition. That is no longer the case.
Right.
They are 39 and 40 against teams over 500. So
it's amazing.
Just right and flip their records. Home 43 and 32, away 33 and 42. I mean, everything tells us that they're a 500 team, and yet they're still within 2 games of the 3rd wild card. The Cubs and Miami, as of Monday evening, are 78 and 72. The Reds are 78 and 73, and the Giants are 76 and 74. Now, this is interesting as it pertains to next week, because you would think that San Diego would kind of be done by now, but they have like the smallest chance to still do something. And the only reason I bring that up was because the aforementioned Rockies, who are on pace to lose over 100 games this year, they go into San Diego for 3. And then the struggling Cardinals, who are on pace to lose 90 games, they then go into San Diego for 3. So the Padres, before they come into San Francisco next week, they have a very easy schedule to sort of try and get back into this thing. And I don't think that they're dead yet. We'll see. I mean, they may not play well this week, and then we can kind of declare them dead. But
Well, there's looking at the run differential column too, of the teams fighting for those 3 wild card spots. We'll throw San Diego in there. Only 3 of them have plus run differentials, and the second best of those teams is San Diego, and they're on a 4-game winning streak as of
yes,
today, Monday. So I mean,
exactly.
yeah, it's a bit crazy.
So not that I think the Padres are going to just roll into the wild card, but that series next week, which we probably had hoped was going to be a lot of the San Diego, the backups and stuff. It's probably not going to be that. If they get a couple wins here in these series, they're going to be probably telling themselves they got a fighting chance and they're going to want,
Yeah.
especially, and the Giants Padres is not as big of a deal as Giants Dodgers, obviously, but it is something. San Diego doesn't want to lose to San Francisco, but if you were to make a bet now, here are the two choices that you have, and you have to favor one choice over the other.
Okay.
The Giants are one of the 3 wild cards, or they are under 500. Which of those is more likely? Because right now they're 2 games over 500, so they'd actually have to go, worse than 5-7. They'd have to be 4-8 at the best to be 1 game under 500. But what do you think? What would be more likely to you that they get back into this and that they at least tie for the 3rd wild card, or that they finish under 500?
Yeah, I don't want to be the naysayer, and I'm not going to be, because I honestly think the Giants have a better chance of firing into that one of those final wild card spots. Not one of them, the final one. It's not like they're going to leapfrog a bunch of teams at this point. They're going to sneak into that final spot. But I
Now,
think they have a
now,
better.
now, if
Yeah,
if you beat Arizona twice, which you're going into Arizona, so that would be
yeah,
quite the battle.
sure.
If you beat Arizona twice, you basically reverse spots with them.
True.
And
This
and
is
so
true.
you could bump them out and you would be right in the mix for that number 2, number 3 spot. So it's not just the number 3. Number 2 and number 3 are like right next to each other.
That's true, because right now the Cubs and the Marlins are tied for that final spot as of Monday. Cubs having lost 5 in a row,
It's
and
ridiculous.
Miami, yeah, and Miami won 3 in a row, and Arizona has won 3 in a row. Everybody's very streaky in
Yeah.
these wild card spots, and
Yeah.
nobody's streaking and going upwards and staying upwards. Because again, even Arizona, I mean, like I said, you got Philly, who's just kind of almost running away with that first spot, 3.5 game lead over Arizona.
Yeah, they're probably clinching a wild card spot here in the very near
Yeah,
future.
most likely. So I would say that the Giants are definitely more. I would give them a better chance of making getting a wild card spot than finishing under 500. I know that they're playing the Dodgers a lot over the next couple of weeks here, but still, say you split with them. If you split with them, if you split the rest of your games, you still finish over 500. So
Right. And so here's I know Dodgers are a little bit of doom and gloom when you think about playing them. Here is why. Now, I may be 100% wrong, and I may be so mad come this time next week when we talk. But one thing that you said that I think makes a lot of sense, which is the Dodgers don't really have to play for anything. So
right.
if they're going to rest guys, if they're going to not want to stretch some of their arms, their starting rotation is already, a little bit limited because of guys who are hurt. And they're not, I would say, even though they're a very good regular season team, if you talk to Dodger fans, they don't really believe in this team as the one to win it all. Like they're
Right.
they're a little bit down on the team, even though I would switch places with them in a second.
Which is amazing to me. I don't quite understand that, but yeah. Go ahead, Dodger fans.
But you have that going for them, which is they don't have to play anything. And then the other thing is the Giants have played them well so far. Now, it's probably a little bit of a different Giants team than the one that played them earlier in the season. We talked about the records that the Giants have had against the teams so far. They are where did I have that? I had that number. LA. They're 4-2 and they have 7 games left. And we talked about this in the very beginning of the season, which is that the way that the MLB did the schedule this year is they pulled back on games inter-division and they spread them out so that you played every single team, American League teams included. So that means, what was it, like 7 or 8 less games against the Dodgers and the Padres and the Diamondbacks?
I believe so.
And the
Rockies.
Rockies.
It was high number. Yeah.
But the way that they made these games mean something is that Giants and the Dodgers have to play 7 out of the last 12. So I think if you wanted to play the Dodgers in a series or 2 series, this is one of the best outcomes, which is a Dodgers team that is they've already clinched the division. They don't really need to play for positioning, and one that you've played pretty well this season. Now, if the Dodgers come out and they smoke us 7 of the next 7-0, and then I'm sitting here feeling like a fool, I'm just saying going into it, I'm less pessimistic than I would normally be when we play the Dodgers. And so I that 7 games is a giant like horror movie in the making.
Oh yeah.
Except that I think we're going to be competitive and I think we're going to be okay because of those reasons.
Yeah, I think so. And by the way, a team I don't want to play again is Philly. Kyle Schwarber just hit a 483-foot home run. That guy hitting under 200 and hitting 483-foot home runs. He's going to have 50 by the end of the season, probably.
Well, what does Olsen get to? You think Olsen gets to what? 56, 57?
Probably. I mean, the home runs are back, in case anybody's, not sure if the dead ball era of the early 2010s when the Giants were winning World Series is over. The dead ball era is over. Home runs are back. But yeah,
I was looking at Judge's numbers. Now he got hurt, but in 334 at bats, he's got 32 jacks. So if you would have gave him 500, he'd be at 50 as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to. So last week I said we needed to go 13-6, right? We had 19 games left at that point. And we pooped the bed, so to speak. I'll say it nicely.
Yeah. Well, what did we go? 2-5?
3 and
4.
1, 2,
no,
3,
you're right. Yeah, 3 and 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 3 and 4. So
right.
that
you
being
did math
said,
better than me on
I did it basically counting like virtual fingers in my head, Garrett. So I don't know. Don't give me too much credit. So that being said, if I said 13-6 and we went 3 and 4, we would have to go 10-2 the rest of the season to make a playoff spot. Now, that was thinking everybody else in front of us continued to play good baseball. But
we didn't expect the Cubs to lose 5 in a row.
No, we didn't expect the Cubs to lose 5 in a row. We didn't expect Cincinnati to just kind of go back and forth and stay exactly where they're at. San Diego creeping up on us, but still not there. Still 4 games back behind us. And Arizona won 3 in a row. Miami won 3 in a row. So basically the Giants would that 10-2. Should we modify that? I mean, you're looking at 7 of those 12 games against the Dodgers. So let's say we go 4-3 against the Dodgers. At that point, you've got 5 games left. I say if they go 3-2 there, 7-5. So let's say anywhere between 7-5 and 10-2 could get you into the playoffs. What do you think?
I'm going to say based on what we're seeing with the current standings, the Giants are going to need to be at a minimum 5 games over 500, and they're currently 2. So they're going to have to gain 3 games over 500 because Arizona, the Cubs, and Miami are currently at 6, and we know that the Cubs are struggling. In order for the Giants to do well, they're going to have to beat Arizona at least one of those times. So you take that away. So yeah, either 5 or 6 games over 500. I think they're in the mix. But if they are 2 games over 500, like they are, if they are 82 and 80, not going to get it done.
No, so let's modify that. Let's say 8-4. All right.
Okay.
So instead of 10-2, which I kind of predicted at this point last week, let's modify that a little bit. 8-4 in the next 12 games. So let's say they go 3-4 against the Dodgers, then they need to go 5-0 in their other games. So that's asking a lot. So they are going to have to play well against the Dodgers.
Yes.
And probably play above 500 baseball against the Dodgers. If not, it's kind of a tall task the rest of the way. So
that is what makes it a little difficult, and why the MLB did it the way that they did it, because they're just like, hey, you got to beat your rival, man. These games, people are going to watch these games as long as you're competitive. And they got the 2 in Arizona. Even if they lose those 2, which I don't want them to do, Gabe, do not want you to lose these next 2 and be 76 and 76 or whatever it is. They have to be really competitive with the Dodgers, and I think they will. Whatever the secret sauce is that they think they have. And it's funny because I was telling you guys in the chat, when you play so much for winning on the margins, like, you can lose very easily on the margins too. There's like this little bit of percentages that you're winning games here. And what we learned is that, and this was the last couple of years, which is the Giants will give up defense a little bit if it helps out their offense. And that's kind of been the game plan over the last couple of years. They committed, I don't know how many errors last week, but like B. Cross letting one hoppers go between his legs. Him and Tyro are kind of getting confused on who's supposed to cover on a double play. Lamont is booting ground balls. Casey Schmidt's throwing them into the dugout. And if you're hitting like they did in 2021, you go, okay, I get it. We are emphasizing offense over defense. But when you can't hit and then you can't field, like your starting pitching is just bailing the team out, and your bullpen is just bailing this team out. It's no wonder that these guys are exhausted because your defense sucks and your hitting is so cold right now that you're just so much relying on these small moves with the bullpen here and there just to get that little bit of leverage, and it's really catching up to them. There's no way that they're going to be able to do what we want them to do, which is 8-4 at the minimum, with the way that they're hitting right now. It's just impossible to do so. You cannot expect things. I know it's kind of silly for us to all of a sudden expect them to become the 2021 Giants, in the last 2 weeks of the season. We have hope. We're not unrealistic. They can win a game 5-4 and do it a bunch of different times. We're not expecting them to all of a sudden turn into, just a home run hitting team. But, they kind of reel us in. It's like, oh, JD Davis. Yeah, JD Davis goes deep, wall scraper, but it's the 3-run jack, and we tie the game, and it's great. And so then you kind of get like, maybe they can do this. And then you just get frustrated when, they almost get no hit in Coors. So
you go into Coors and you go, hey, we're kind of on fire right now, so this is going to be a fun series. And then they just turn around, like you said. I mean, they're throwing in runs, and they're goofing up on the base paths, and I mean, you're getting some home runs here and there. But pitching wise, it seems like the bullpen is just super gassed. We haven't even gotten to Duvall yet. I mean,
Yeah, I
but
don't know. I
it's
don't know
just,
what's gonna happen with him.
I don't know, but just watching the bullpen, I mean, having to pitch so many bullpen games and with the opener, it's gotten to the point now where it's kind of just limping to the finish line. Um, and then you start to wonder if they limp to the finish line and do get that third spot. Well, guess what? I mean, last game of the season is Sunday, and you start the playoffs like 2 days later.
Yeah.
So there's no rest. You're just going right into it. That's why it's nice to get that 1 and 2 seed.
Mhm.
That's not something us Giants fans can dream of just quite yet. We need a couple
No.
more years for that. But who knows? Maybe even next year. Maybe next year we're dreaming of that 1 and 2 seed, and we're salivating as we're getting towards the finish line. But yeah, it's gonna be a little while.
Good segue because you mentioned the bullpen and the starting pitching, and one person that we were relying on to kind of come in as a little bit of a savior, fresh arm at the end of the year was Kyle Harrison.
Mm-hmm.
And they sent him back to AAA. And he cannot come back to the team until the very end of the season. So they decided that they needed the extra arms in the bullpen, or in I would consider Ross Stripling a bullpen arm,
Right.
but they valued that arm over Harrison. And so, this idea that it's going to be Webb, it's going to be Cobb, it's going to be Harrison, and then you sort of figure out the last two spots. That didn't happen. And now we're kind of back to square one where we were with only two reliable starters, and then them using the trickery of the opener and bullpen games and fitting Manea and Stripling. Now, Manea did start yesterday, I believe, and pitched pretty well, but then he turned it over to bullpen, and then it went to hell. But yeah, that's something that we thought was going to be a little bit of a savior, and it turns out that they're just like, well, this isn't working. We got to go back to what we were doing. And Harrison, you're back in AAA, so he's probably done. Like, I can't imagine
Yeah.
that they bring him up at the end of the year just to unless it's a meaningless game. If it's a
Yeah.
meaningless start and you want to get him a couple innings just to you know maybe in front of the home crowd against the Dodgers. I don't know what they would do, but that did not turn out to be. And what did you think of that move?
Well, did they say he's going to go down to AAA and make a start or two? Or because, like you said, I know he can't come back. But
Andy Baggerly said he would make his next start in AAA, but the AAA season is not much
it's
longer,
over.
right?
Well, I shouldn't say it's over. I think Reno played their last game at home yesterday. Let me see how many games they've got left. But I mean, this could be part of the stretch him out at the end. And then if there are some meaningful games and we do need a starter to go 5 or 6 innings, we do have kind of an ace in the hole if he can be the guy he was supposed to be. Or it could just be like, hey, we brought him up. He got a taste. Things didn't pan out towards the end there. Velocity was down. Home runs were up.
That was very noticeable, by the way, in that last game
Absolutely.
against the Guardians. He's throwing that fastball at like 92, 93, whereas we were seeing between 95 and 97 when he first came up.
Yeah, exactly. And so that could be, one of those situations where they're like, velo's down, home runs are up. Not something we can deal with right now, but if things kind of pan out, we'll have you come back up and pitch a meaningful game for us later on. It looks like the season is going to end next Sunday.
Yes.
For AAA. So he could make one start this week. There's a chance we see him up against the Dodgers this weekend, maybe Sunday. Like I said, it kind of depends on when he makes his start and all of that.
Well, actually, because of the fact that they sent him down, he's not even allowed to come back up until the end of September. I think he's got to stay down there for 2 weeks at least, unless
I thought it was 10 days. No,
unless there's an injury. I think they could bring him up sooner if there's an injury.
Don't tell that to Ross Stripling. He's gonna start worrying about phantom injuries again, poor guy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so
Can you
that's
believe
a
he
oh,
went and did that? I feel like,
I can't
I feel
believe
like
that.
Barry Zito did that one time as well, where he kinda made the mention of the phantom the
Yeah, he said
phantom
the
injury.
phantom IL, and I told him I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no, I know we got that, dude, but don't give away all the family secrets here. So
So, Harrison went down, they activated Stripling. I saw Stripling, I think he threw 3 innings, gave up 2 runs. He was like, "Ah, it was a great outing or a good outing, felt solid." I was like, "Yeah, dude. Yeah,
yeah,
maybe if you gave up no runs, then start patting yourself on the
exactly.
back."
We'll take that.
Casey Schmidt optioned as well, with Conforto coming back, and that I would imagine if the Giants are gonna make any moves, they would actually happen tomorrow since there is no game tonight, Monday night, as
Yeah.
we are talking. So there's not a lot of news coming out of Giants land right now.
That's right. Yeah, usually we have a lot of fun news on Monday nights when we're doing this. A lot of times it's just happening as we're doing the
Yeah,
show, which is always
exactly,
kind of fun.
exactly. All right, so what are you drinking today?
I busted out. I've been hankering for some bourbon, so I went ahead and I forgot to bring the bottle in with me, but I got some Frey Ranch, which is a
Ooh,
local. Yeah, these guys are local. This is the
I
Frey
have some
Ranch.
in
Oh, do
my
you?
cabinet right
Oh,
now.
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
so this is the rye, and it's 50. I believe it's 50%, so 100 proof. Um, Again, if you like rye, this one's got heat to it. I always put like one ice cube in it, as you can see out the window. Let's see, I always get this mixed up. There. If you see out the window there, lots of clouds, and I think with thunder and lightning, it started raining. And we have a storm coming in too, so it's probably going to hit you guys as well before it hits us. Um, so it's bourbon drinking time. I'm going to try to make maybe for the last show. I haven't done this in a while, or the last show of the season. Um, what I might try to do is a Manhattan. I haven't done a
Ooh.
Manhattan in a while, and I'll use some rye in there because I always like to do that. But yeah, this stuff's good. It's nice and meaty. Um, been staying under my doctor recommended 2 units of alcohol a day.
Okay, so
Mm,
explain this to
yeah.
me because I'm very
Yes.
interested in what does 2 units actually measure out to?
So this is okay. So I poured 1.5 ounces, which
Mhm.
is a technically a single. So if you go to a bar and you order a single of bourbon, you're going to get 1.5 ounces usually.
Okay, okay.
Um, so I use an app called Drink Control. Um, Really cool app. So this is considered, because it's 50% alcohol, it's a little bit higher. It's 1.2 units. Now, if you had a 12-ounce beer that was 5% alcohol,
Mhm.
that's going to be one, exactly
Okay.
one. And so it kind of plays, and that's what this app does, which is kind of nice. You can put in whatever it is you're having, what the alcohol percentage is. It works really good with wine. So you could pour like, you can say, I'm having this wine and it's really high in alcohol. But if I only have like 6 ounces of it, I'm staying under my 2 units per day. And
Interesting.
then, and doctor recommended, a World Health Order says stay under 14 units a week
A
for
week.
males. Now, females, it really messes up because you can only have, if you're a female, you can only have 1 unit a day. And
Interesting.
that's really hard to do because, like, you can't even have a 1.5 ounce
Yeah,
slug
yeah.
of 50% bourbon because that's not gonna. I mean, you're gonna go over the 1 unit really easily. So Denise kind of plays around with the app sometimes. She's like, I can't follow this thing, man, because there's some days I want a little bit, like a
Yeah.
6 ounce pour of wine, and now I'm up to like 2 drink. I said, well, then you just don't drink the next day.
So what if you were to let's say you decided, "You know what? Monday through Friday, not drinking at all.
Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday, I wanna go over slightly the 2 units." They do not advise that.
No, they don't. They advise, so you can go over the 2. It's funny, in the app, it turns, from blue to purple when
Oh,
you
wow.
go over your 2.
It's like a
Now, if
shame.
you exactly. Now if you go into the red, you're binge drinking. So
Oh,
you
man.
really just obviously wanna stay away from binge drinking. I have a couple of red dots on mine. I think 4th of July, I've got a red dot. Um there's like 2 dates in August I have a red dot and 1 date in September that I have a red dot. And that's because it was like either we went to a concert or we had a party at the house and you kind of get to drinking and before you know it. But again, that's also like we start to have a drink at like 1 p.m., right? And then you have your last drink at like 9 p.m. So it's not like I'm hitting all this stuff in an hour or 2 hours, and I'm drinking lots of water in between. So I'm just trying. Is that healthier? No, probably not. But you like to tell yourself it is.
That's a good app. I may look into that.
Yeah, it's a cool app. Highly recommend. It's really easy to use too, which is the nice thing. There's other ones out there, but they're super complicated.
Yeah, you'll have to shoot me the link to it.
Oh yeah,
later.
absolutely. Yeah.
All right, I have what I am calling a Terramana Mule. I don't like the name Mexican Mule for a tequila-based mule. It's I don't know. Not that it sounds racist or anything, but
no,
it's just like tequila only Mexican drinks.
No,
tequila. So
I like Terramana Mule.
Yeah, I got
How about a
Terramana
Mule?
Terra Mule. That's a good one too.
I like that.
I had the ginger beer from last week because I did the bourbon mule.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I still have some left. Went to get some Terramana today because I ran out of the Terramana and decided to do that. And it is absolutely perfect. It just reminds me how much I love tequila and how dangerous tequila can be because it's just a different flavor, right? It's a different flavor. It's a different taste. It's the agave in it, which makes there's a different taste. Like when I drink scotch, I know I'm drinking scotch. Like there's no doubt about it. You're like it's heavy, it's heaty. You're like, okay, it's reminding me of what I'm drinking. Sometimes a tequila, you're just like, keep them coming, man, and so you got to be careful. But really enjoyable, and now I gotta use your app because I got to make sure that I don't drink.
I was gonna say, how many ounces did you pour in this?
1.5.
So that is exactly 1 unit.
Okay.
So if you wanted to have another one, you could, and you're staying at your 2. But see, that's a nice thing. So if I have a Corona, it's like a 12-ounce Corona is like a Corona Light is 0.7.
Okay.
So if I have that, then I know like, then I can have like a Jim Beam or an Evan Williams, like a 1 ounce, 1.5 ounce pour, and I'm staying under that too.
Right.
But I try to reserve that. I try to stick like around 1 during the week. And then on the weekends, it's like, I'll have like 1.8 or 2.3. I'll just kind of stick right around in there. But then, the problem is you go out like on Saturday night, we went out to one of the park rangers was retiring. So got a 16, if you have a 16-ounce IPA at 6.5%, all of a sudden you're right in the 2 mark right there. So if you have another one, it's like, well, if I'm going to have another beer, now I have to choose like a 4.5% beer, a 5% beer, try to bring that down a little bit. How much do I try to follow it? I don't know. I go off and on. It depends. If I think I'm having too much, then I'll bust that app out again. And it's kind of like, it's exactly what it is. It's called drink control. It just kind of tells you, hey, dude, you're having a bit too much lately.
The other alcohol related thing that I'm doing this week is me and my buddy Ben Cruz, who works for The Ringer. He's a podcast manager at The Ringer. We are both on the search for Steph Curry's bourbon called Gentleman's Cut.
Whoa. So is it Jack Daniels? It's got to be Jack Daniels if it's called Gentleman's, right?
As far as I know, it is not.
Oh, okay.
I'll read the little blurb here. Actually, there's the name Gentleman's Cut speaks to the art of crafting a truly fine spirit, as well as to Curry's skillful movement on and off the court. A little bit of a stretch there. Motivated by his passion for premium bourbon, Curry was intimately involved in every step of the process, from the manufacturing, blending, and aging to the packaging and marketing efforts. So actually, let me see. It is called Gentleman's Cut Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. That doesn't look like there's a Jack Daniels because you're talking about Gentleman's Jack, right?
Correct. And then Sinatra was linked up with Jack Daniels as well for years. So I thought, well, here you go. This is a good opportunity. But yeah, I'm looking at the bottle and I'm looking at the label and I'm looking at all this stuff, and I don't see anything that has anything to do with Jack Daniels. So that's nice.
Yeah, so we're gonna my buddy Ben and I are on the hunt, and if I find one, I'm picking him up a bottle, and if he finds it, then he's getting me a bottle. But it sounds like even when you go to the Total Wine or the Bevmo, that's still pretty hard to find. So we're kind
Yeah,
of
I
on
think
the hunt.
there's a spot at the bottom of the website that says sign up with your email and be among the first to know when Gentleman's Cut bourbon becomes available for
Yep,
purchase. So yeah, I guess it's not floating
signed
around there yet.
signed up. I'm ready
There you
for it.
go. You're gonna have to let me know, man, because if it's good, I'm gonna get some too.
Yeah, the fact that he calls it premium bourbon tells me it's going to be a little bit more expensive than the
Yeah.
fries, which and you mentioned that one. That's my favorite of like the the pretty decently priced bourbon right now.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. So
Yeah, it's great. They're out of Fallon here, which is probably about an hour to our east. About an hour to our east. And I think I was telling you we were supposed to go on a tour there because my parents had won some tickets to one of their car shows, and we were going to go on a tour. And we never linked up, and just kind of forgot about it. And all of a sudden, one day I go, "Hey, we have time now. The kids are a little bit older, so if you guys want to go do that tour," they go, "Oh no, we already did." All right. So kind of missed out on that. Yeah, we didn't wait for you.
all right, let's end the show here talking about this week. Like we said, we got Diamondbacks, we have Dodgers, and as far as who is pitching, I'm a little concerned about what the Giants are going to throw out. Supposedly tomorrow, Arizona throws out their best pitcher, Zach Gallen. I don't know what that means for the Giants because right now TBD is scheduled for us.
He's not very good.
So that's going to be a tough one. And then they have Kelly, who also is pretty good, starting on Wednesday, and that's a day game. And the Giants have TBD again. So they're being a little coy on who is pitching.
Ryan Walker and John Brebbia. I think I just figured it out for us.
Yeah, Burby is back, so he could open.
You know what? I picked up Alex Cobb, because I'm trying to do the streaming in fantasy baseball.
Yeah.
As we get towards the end here, and I'm looking and I go, I'm going to be short 60 innings if I don't start streaming pitchers.
Right.
And they've got, fantasy baseball, Yahoo Fantasy Baseball has Alex Cobb listed as the starter tomorrow.
Okay.
So we'll see.
That's a good matchup there, Zach Gallen.
I think so.
And Alex Cobb.
Yeah, I think so.
They just got to play some defense behind him because
got to play defense, and it's still hot in Arizona, so the ball can still fly. Depends on if they have the roof closed or not. I got to check the weather in Phoenix because it's Phoenix. It's probably still like 185 degrees. I can only imagine.
I just want to end the show just to get your thoughts on one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now we've watched Brandon Crawford for the last 2 years, and still fan favorite. So many great memories of that guy playing such great defense, but he is absolutely a shell of himself. And I don't think that's not even being mean. That's just sort of saying, what the situation is.
Yeah.
The Giants have had 2 years here to figure out a backup plan or a plan B for B-Craw, right? He has, for this season, he is still hitting under 200. His OBP is 276, so it's not even at 300, which is like kind of like the minimum of what you want a starting player to be at. And then his OPS is at 595. Do you think, do they just not have a guy? Did they not take it seriously that we needed somebody to play behind him, maybe to push him? Because I just was, I was thinking about this today. Let's go back 2 months. Why was Tyler Fitzgerald not on the 40-man?
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough decision because again, you've got Brandon Crawford who was kind of hot towards the end of the season last year. So coming into the season, they thought, well, maybe if he can be like, you know, half or three quarters of Brandon Crawford, then we might be good this year with him there, and then possibly sign him to another 1 year deal and kind of let Luciano get his feet under him in the
Mhm.
minors. I think that might have been part of the push to get Luciano up
Yeah.
so fast this season to say, look, this is going to be your spot. This is what it's like to play at Oracle Park in front of this crowd. Because guess what? There's a very good chance in 2024 you're going to be penciled into that starting lineup at
Mhm.
shortstop. Casey Schmidt has also had some time there. Um, but other than that, I mean, Carlos Correa was kind of that dude. He was going to be that dude that was going to be the successor. That all fell through. And as a matter of fact, he even went on the IL with plantar fasciitis today. I mean, his season is kind of a wash. So almost thank goodness that didn't happen. Um, there aren't many shortstops out there. Paul DeYoung, he's not gonna. I really hope he's not gonna be the opening day shortstop next season, but you never know. Um, so did they have a plan in place? It's so hard. It's so hard to predict with this regime what they're thinking. Yeah, a lot of times you can kind of predict and you can kind of say, "Oh, this is why they're coming at this angle." But with this regime, I'm lost sometimes, man.
Yeah.
But not in a bad way. It's more like they're probably 3 steps ahead of what we're thinking, but they're not gonna reveal that because they have a plan of like, if this happens here, this is gonna happen here, blah, 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 blah. 3 different branches of ways that they can go. Um, but just watching Brandon Crawford right now, it's tough, it's painful, to kinda see it end this way. I know a lot of people say, "Don't talk about Brandon Crawford that way," but like you said, you're not being mean. This is
No.
truthful. This is what we're seeing out there right now.
And this is how baseball players age, right?
That's
When
it.
when they stay on a
Especially
year or
when you're
2
a
too long.
shortstop.
So, Brandon Crawford, I mentioned his statistics, and it does not get any better at the position. Casey Schmidt, who played a lot of innings at shortstop, he himself is only hitting 202. The aforementioned Paul DeYoung, he himself in 47 ABs is hitting a robust 191. And then we even had the great Camargo in his 18 at bats, and he hit a full 222.
How
So
many hits? So that's what, 2 hits maybe?
4, I think.
4 hits, yeah.
Yeah. So
Oof.
the attack, the plan of attack that they used this season at shortstop did not work whatsoever. It's probably the biggest failure position wise because they found the catcher, right? You were able to find Bailey. You had a mixing of third baseman who helped out, and Wilmer is still having a fantastic year. Even Wade at first base, he's was hurt a lot, but on base, he's getting on base. In the outfield, it's just a mix and match of guys and some young players as well. But man, shortstop was that was the place that you didn't really need to worry about. And then it just kind of came and bit them in the butt, which
Yeah.
maybe they don't think that Fitzgerald is a guy worthy of a 40 man, at least for this year. But if Luciano, who has already been injured a couple different times in his young career, I mean, a lot of people say that he's actually maybe better as a third baseman than a shortstop. So that might not even be the best place for him. And if it's not, then they're going to have to go out and find one unless Fitzgerald is the guy. So I just wanted
I
to end it with that because
Yeah, yeah.
it was just something that I was thinking about as I was going through the topics of today. And we love the guy. I mean, I don't know if do you see the local commercials from NBC Sport Bay Area with him eating the sandwiches and stuff?
Oh, yeah, yeah, putting on the headband, getting ready to make the sandwiches. Yeah, we get those because we get straight up NBC Sports Bay Area here
Yeah.
at NBC Sports California. So, yeah, we get all the local commercials. Those are the ones that Bochy used to do, right?
Yeah.
the Philly cheesesteak place. I don't even know what that place is.
I don't even know what it is either.
It's funny because they're like blasting us with these commercials. We don't have any of those places here. Barry Bonds hawking these grills. We don't even have that place here either. So there's a lot of stuff we don't have. I miss Paul from the Diamond Center. I want to see Paul.
Yes, exactly. All right. We're done here. So we'd originally planned for me to be out today because I was going to go watch my my son play basketball, but he kind of canceled and he's like, oh, I can make it again. But I was like, okay, just let me know. So there may be a Monday in the near future where we switch it out for a Tuesday, but I'm not sure exactly when
that's going to be next week because the Rams play on Monday Night Football.
You're right.
So
maybe
that's the only time we really do it for the most part.
Maybe I'll make sure that will be next week. So that'll work out.
Go.
All right. So for Brad, I'm Double G. We will see you when we see you. Peace out.
Peace.